How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the Kick Report. Today we're going to be back at it. I saw the love and the engagement on the last one, so I'm bringing you guys Copper Drop episode 2. So for this edition, I really got in my bag here. I ended up going to Ross, the Nike clearance store, Burlington Coat Factory, Nordstrom Rack, and even Goodwill. These are all places that I've heard that you can find a steal at or a deal that's better than where you can find somewhere else. So I'm really bringing you guys the truth. So grab a snack, get comfortable, because we're in for a ride. Alright, so for our first stop of the day, we're going to be getting into Ross. So I've had some good and bad luck with this location. In the past, this location was one that I found the Nike DC Cut Academies at, but other times I've been here, I've found straight duds, and unfortunately, I think this is one of those days. Just walking around, I was almost kind of laughing at some of the shoes that I was seeing because of how crazy they were, but I mean, there were still some solid finds here. So yeah, of those finds is these GT Cut 2s. These are a very niche shoe. They're on the comfortable side of Nike shoes, but honestly, I think that there's better out there, especially the grip in the ones that I had was nothing short of atrocious. But $64.99 is not a bad deal, especially if your team colors are blue or you just wanted to pick up a nice, comfortable, cheap shoe. These will be up there. They're pretty good. Alright, so for here we have the Harden 7s, and man, these to me are an eyesore. I don't have much to say about them, but I know some people are like, oh, these are hard, but me personally, I'm not like that nonchalant hooper. I like things that look good, and I'm not trying to like hoop in the past. So these, I guess, is why I feel so strongly about them. But then again, if you like what you like, stick with it and stand on your ground. Don't let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't think. But yeah, jumping over, these are Hoka Arahi 7s, a stability shoe from Hoka. These are really solid. Hoka, I know the Arahi 8s are out now, so the Hoka's kind of phasing the 7s out. But for those who have like knee instability, or maybe their ankles like point inward or anything like that, these are going to be solid. They're going to provide that really good structure and support for your feet. Here we go again, another Mellow and another Ross. But hey, I haven't personally tried these shoes out, so I can't speak on too much on it, but I know the design language is pretty loud, so if that's your style, that's your style. Alright, so you got another DC Cut Academy. You see these pretty often at like secondhand retailers, but overall a super solid outdoor shoe and even an indoor shoe. I've seen it everywhere, so you definitely can't go wrong with these. I'm not holding anything against y'all. But a not so popular shoe, we do have these Don Issue 6s. I haven't seen too many of these around, I won't lie, unless there's like players at an Adidas school, but these are on crazy sale right now, so if you see them, go ahead, cop them. I know y'all see it. We got another one, another MVO3, and this is the first location. So this is, I had real high hopes to see how many I was gonna find, but the Porsche collab, pretty interesting. They're really trying something different with these, so it's just the design language is something so different. And then a KD Trey. These are the Trey 5Xs. These are pretty solid. I've heard good things about them. I used to think that they're a bad shoe. I won't even lie to you guys, but I believe, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe these have the React technology. But at these stores, you're going to see anything and everything. So to my track athletes, my dual athletes, you're going to find some good finds, especially on these track spikes. They sell these usually for $75, and this is a great steal to have here. Oh man, and here we go with another pair of Mellows. Man, at this rate, we might as well change it from the Copper Drop series to the Mellower Drop series. Nah, but all jokes aside, there is an alarming amount of Mellows here, and they're starting to become a pattern. So that's just something to keep a lookout on. Alright, and now just like that, we're at our next location. So real quick, these are the GT Cut 3s. Actually a super solid colorway. I saw these loitered around the Nike clearance store as I was looking. So there's a couple colorways if you're interested in copying yourself a pair. Super high quality shoe. Next to it, these LeBron Next Gens. Again, these are solid for me. Nothing blowing it out the water or out the park. KD 18s though, I love them, using the same kind of structure as the KD 17s. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But again, super big fan of the KD line. Other than that, they have the Vomero 5s, which are more of like a style shoe, but again, they're Cushline comfort. They threw that in there, so it's gonna be a super solid trainer. Another pair of KD18s. These are on sale for a really good price, so I'm a big fan. But other than that, they have these GT Cut 3 turbos, and these are like a step up above the GT Cut regulars. And I ended up trying a pair of these on, and I really loved it. And then they have these LeBrons, the 22s, and they're okay. To me, this shoe is way too heavy, way too solid. But hey, if you need something a little bit bigger, that's for you. These Luka 3s, something light, nothing too major. But overall, as these, I'm gonna let these shoes play in the background. But I just wanted to say, like, my experience here, these like, it's really hectic. This time when I was in there, I had to fight some resellers. So unfortunately, there's like no real casual shoes that you can find. Like, you can take a look and you can find like the regular kind of, the low end, maybe some crazy colored dunks, but other than that, you're not really gonna find anything that's like worthwhile. Luckily, we're taking a look at the hoop shoes, so that's what we're seeing here, like a whole bunch of these different pairs. But again, the reseller market really takes away from the quality of what you're gonna find there. So as I said in the last video, if you get overstimulated really easily, I highly recommend you just chill. I mean, you know what I'm saying, maybe just go in there right when it opens, or go in there closer to close, because midday this place gets crazy. But yeah, here's a pair of those dunks I was talking about, a bright orange. I'm not sure how you're going to incorporate them into a fit, but I might see some with some shorts. I might see the idea, I might see the vision. So yeah. But moving on, unfortunately, I didn't really find anything good at the Nike clearance store. But here we are at Goodwill. People talk a lot about finding great stuff at Goodwill. So I was like, you know what, let me find something. And when I went in, their footwear section was so small. And as I'm walking around, I'm like, yeah, this isn't it. I was in a nice area too, so don't go saying in the comments that like, oh, you went to a terrible place. Everybody came to check up all the finds. I thought these were Doc Martens at first, and they weren't even Doc Martens, so I don't even know what to say. And then these were like some Nike heels that I've never seen before. And then these, help me out please. I have no idea what these are, but I know they're beat and used. That's what I do know for sure. Crazy enough, they had these LeBron 19s. Obviously they've been used, but I was not expecting to see these here, especially with the zoom unit intact. A lot of the time you see these used shoes and their zoom units all beat to pieces, and the shoe's not even wearable anymore. But oddly enough, the zoom unit was a little bit deflated in the left shoe, but both were holding fine. But the store, it was so dead that I was like getting sidetracked. Like, I was just looking around and I was like, man, there's an air fryer down there. It's actually a pretty solid price. It's a pretty solid find. So I guess I'm gonna have to say that's the find of this location, in the air fryer. Alright, and let's jump into our next location, Burlington Coat Factory. So I think it's really crazy is that a lot of people were talking so highly on Burlington Coat Factory that you can find the best deals here for the best prices. Nothing else is going to be better here. And I feel like some of those videos are staged, if I'm being honest. So here I'm in the store, finding out for sure. But here we have the Jordan 36s, the Luka colorway before he had his own signature line. The double zoom unit, you honestly can't go wrong for a shoe. For $70, it's on the higher pricier side for a secondhand retailer, but you know, you can't be too mad. But over here we have the volleyball shoe, the Nike Hyperspeeds. Now for my volleyball athletes, I do recommend getting a basketball shoe just because I feel the cushion technology is just so superior, but you are going to get more of a stiffer structure in the Hyperspeed if that's what you're looking for. And now we have a shoe that I've honestly never seen before, the Air Zoom Upturns. It took me a while to even figure out what this shoe was because there's not many identifying markers on the shoe, but apparently it's supposed to be a running shoe, so I don't know about that one. It seems pretty tough. And one thing that's similar about Burlington and Ross is that they're going to have every type of shoe. They had these football cleats, the Electric 2s, which are actually pretty popular and they go for a good amount. So I'm happy to see those here. And then they have the Immortality 3s, which are basically like a, you know what I'm saying, like a typical outdoor basketball shoe. Not much cushion there, but it's solid for something to beat on outdoors. But now let's move into these Luka 2s. I'm actually a big fan of the Luka line for never having a pair. But, you know, I think Cush line and the Zoom unit is a recipe for a great shoe. So I know they're doing that in the most recent pair. So there's definitely something cooking over there. But now we have an old friend, the Select 2.0s. If you want to know how I feel about those, check out my video. But for this price point, I think we can all see why I got a pair the first time. But now these are pretty cool to me. These are the Precision 7s. I did a review on the last pair, but you can see a great example of Nike's easy on technology with the other pair of Precision 7s here. I think that's really cool. They basically make it as a more accessible version of a certain shoe. So they have these with like the Air Forces, and I've seen some Dunks with it. But I think it's really cool how they basically make it easier for someone to put the shoe on, whether it's for kids or maybe somebody with disabilities. I think that's a really good touch. Go Nike. Alright, so here we have a pretty interesting shoe. These are the Scoot Zeros. You almost thought they were Mellows, but no, not this time. These are the Scoot Zero in the 2K collab. Now, this is just the most out of place collab. Shouts out to Scoot, he's picking his game up, but I don't think a 2K collab was the right step for Puma. They have the same quality as the Mellows, but a little bit worse. Alright, and down here we got Sunday's best. If you know, you know. But moving forward, we have the Jordan 38s. Now, a super solid shoe for what it is, and I think that the Jordan line in general they at least put out a quality shoe every year. I don't hear many people saying that, oh, this shoe sucks or whatever. I think that it's just too expensive for many people to afford. It's usually in the $200 range, and dropping that on a basketball shoe isn't really economical for anybody unless you're in the league. So yeah, I think it's still a great shoe, plus a good colorway. And here we have the Ja 1s, a fan favorite and a classic, a different colorway than I would prefer, but people love them. And over here we have the Infinity Run 4s, Nike's shoe to push out the React X foam, and they did good, but now they're starting to slow down in sales, so you can find yourself a pair for cheap. So that's pretty good. But over here, actually a shoe I'm a big fan of, the Streak Fly PRMs, or the premiums. These are for $59.99 and usually go for $160, which is crazy. It's a cool, really nice marathon shoe or 5K or 10K shoe, however you want to use it. I would love to get a pair, but they didn't have my size, unfortunately. They could have had a new customer, but they didn't bring my size. But a big fan of how light it is. The materials are a little bit too thin, but honestly, if you're getting a sprint shoe, then it's worth it. But here we're checking out the other part of the store, the youth section, just to see what they have. It's good to see everything, just so I'm being completely honest. But we have the Nike ISOFly, is a pretty under the radar shoe. It's a youth shoe. If you're gonna get your kids something, I recommend getting them a job, because at such a young age all the technology is just about the same, so it might as well get them something that they like. And over here they had the Tandem 1s. I just am curious as to where these have been for the past couple of years, because now we're on to the 3s. So where was this shoe hiding this whole time? And just so you know, I did check the women's section as well, but had no luck there. What I did think was pretty cool is they had these jerseys, and they're pretty cheap. This Dodger jersey over to the right, usually that's like $100 jersey, and here they had it for cheap. So I mean, to all you guys that are Dodger fans, go ahead, check them out. But the only thing that is holding me is these nameless jerseys. If you're wearing those, stay away. But for our last location, we have Nordstrom Rack. This was probably the bougiest store I've ever been to. This was in a very, very nice part of town. I won't say exactly where, I'm a gatekeep a little bit, but your local Nordstrom Rack will probably have something similar. As for these Uplift SCs, they're just a typical shoe that you can beat up on. Not much to say about these here. Even worse, I'll put them a category lower than your typical running shoe, because they're unheard of, and there's usually a reason for that. But they have these Pegasus 38s, pretty cool shoe. I have the 39s, the 40s, and the 41s, so it's kind of cool to see like how the shoe changed over the years. So a big fan of the Pegasus line. But another side note is that this, again, how I was saying earlier, this was a very nice store in a very nice area. So I feel that a lot of the shoes reflected that, and that a lot of the times when you're looking around, it's like I wouldn't personally wear this shoe if like the On Cloud Vistas. I wouldn't personally wear this shoe, but the target demographic for this neighborhood would. So the Cloud Vistas, I'm not a big fan of the On brand, just because of my personal experiences with them, the cushion not lasting or the shoe not lasting. But to each their own. I've heard some good things about their Cloud Monsters. But here you can get some Birkenstocks too, so don't sleep. This is actually a really good find. Birkenstocks usually are way too much in my opinion, but you can find some here for a good price. These Gore-Tex tennies, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, who would need that shoe? I mean, Hokas don't really go, are actually a very good shoe, but no one needs a hiking boot like that unless you're serious about it. But yeah, for Nordstrom Rack, I think that their prices were a little bit off. They're still a lot more expensive than like the typical Ross or the Burlington Coat Factory, but I had liked these two finds, the Freak 6s and the LeBron 22s. But man, these LeBron 22s are heavy. Like, whew, that's a real clunky shoe. I'm not sure who's hooping in that. But overall, some good finds here. I think that, as I was saying earlier, the price is a little bit more expensive than anywhere else I've been, kind of taking down from the overall experience and the overall buyer's enjoyment of coming here. But again, a lot of nice shoes, a lot better than I was expecting. A lot of dress shoes, a lot of fancy shoes, a wide range of what they do have. But if I had to pick a winner for today, I would say it'll be Burlington Coat Factory. Definitely pleased with the things I saw from there. Good finds, good assortment, and good items there. You take a look at these Zion 3s. Let me know if you want to see a review on those. I actually have a pair. But yeah, very pleased with what I saw from Burlington Coat Factory. Just it didn't live up to the hype that it set from itself online, but still a solid place. But that is going to bring Copper Drop episode 2 to an end. I appreciate you guys for 60 subscribers. Another milestone I never thought I'd hit. I'm just greatly appreciative of the way you guys have allowed me to express myself. But as always, be sure to let me know what you guys think down below. Did I miss anything? Did you want to see me go to another place? Talk to me down below and I'll be there to chop it up with you guys. But as always, thank you all so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. This has been The Kick Report.